Leaders in Transnistria, a region that wants to be its own country but is officially part of Moldova, have reportedly asked Russia for help. This region declared its wish for independence in 1990 following the breakup of the Soviet Union. This led to a conflict that ended in 1992. Despite its declaration, the United Nations doesn't recognize Transnistria as an independent country, and it's considered by the UN to be part of Moldova. And saying you want independence doesn't make you independent. There are a few boxes to check, like control of your borders, a functioning system of government, and recognition by the international community. In the it takes one to know one category, only a few places like Abkhazia, the Republic of Artsakh, and South Ossetia recognize Transnistria's independence. Russia has a close relationship with Transnistria, even though it hasn't officially recognized its independence. It even has established something like a consulate there. The Council of Europe considers Transnistria to be a Russian-occupied territory. It makes sense that local leaders in Transnistria ask Russia for help, because Russians are already there. Currently, about 1,500 are considered part of the Russian military presence that dates back to 1992, when the 14th Guards Army intervened in what is called the Transnistria War in support of the Transnistrian Separatist forces. Back in 1999, at an OSCE meeting in Istanbul, Russia promised to withdraw these troops from Transnistria by 2002. It didn't happen. The breakaway region wants help because businesses in Transnistria were not paying certain duties or fees. Instead, the Transnistrian breakaway government was collecting money, and as one expert points out, by offering the separatist region tax exemptions, the Moldovan government had practically been funding the existence of the separatist regime, an arrangement that the Moldovan government wanted to stop. This move led separatist leaders to ask the Kremlin for help. In political science and military history, when you ask a more powerful ally for help, it can get tricky. And that's why people are watching what's happening in Transnistria, where pro-Russian separatists living in just a sliver on the eastern edge of the country have asked Russian President Vladimir Putin to protect their region from what they claim are threats from Moldova's government. There is an idea that sometimes you need to defend yourself from help. Countries that have found themselves in a dependency relationship with their allies, particularly during and after the Cold War era. For instance, during the Cold War, both the United States and the Soviet Union provided military assistance to allies and proxy states with the expectation of political influence or strategic advantages in return. This assistance, while initially welcomed, often led to situations where the benefactor, which would be Russia in this case, gains significant control over the domestic or foreign policies of the recipient state. The situation in Transnistria could potentially mirror what happened in Crimea, eastern Ukraine, Abkhazia, South Ossetia, where Russia stepped in to first support separatist regions against their central governments through military, political, and economic means. This strategy has allowed Russia to extend its influence in the area that was once the Soviet Union and challenge Western influence there. When countries like Syria, Venezuela, and Belarus have asked for Russia's help, it's often led to Russia gaining more control or influence in these countries. This pattern suggests that while asking for Russian help might keep leaders in power, can also lead to increased Russian control. Defense against help means having domestic capabilities and diplomatic structure set up so the helpers eventually lead, like Russia said it would do in 1999. Why is the breakaway Moldovan region of Transnistria's February 28th request for help from the Kremlin worth keeping an eye on? Because there's unfinished business from the Kremlin there. Moldovan politicians are downplaying it as a propaganda move. But even in January 2023, Ukrainian officials reported to have intercepted intelligence about a Russian plan to destabilize the region. And if the full-scale Russian invasion of Ukraine had gone as planned, Russia would have taken control of Kyiv in just a matter of days and the entire country in a matter of weeks, advancing along the country's shoreline as far as the southwest city of Odessa, which is close to Transnistria. Russian military officials have said that one goal of the special military operation was to create a corridor across southern Ukraine to Transnistria. Although Moscow's advance was stopped by Ukraine at Kherson, that's around 220 miles from Transnistria, experts have emphasized that Russia still has plans for Moldova. A U.S.-based think tank, the Institute for the Study of War, warned that, among other things, the Kremlin intended to utilize Transnistria as a Russian-controlled proxy that it could deploy to stop Moldova's EU membership process. Now think back to 2014 and how Ukraine's wish to join the EU kicked off the invasion and annexation of Crimea. This is a story to watch, but a pattern that many familiar with what's happened in Georgia and Ukraine already know. Internal unrest coming from suspicious sources will lead to claims that Russian speakers need to be protected, and Russian-backed separatists, or just Russian military, will open the door to more Russian soldiers. I'm Dr. Kay, a political scientist who looks at how information is shared, and that includes how countries communicate their political and military intentions.